Welcome back to the Bible study as we continue in 1 Peter. And just a quick reminder that the full text will be pinned down below. Also, you can read it on X, and I'll leave a link down below on it for that. With that, let's continue with our study. 1 Peter 1, 4 and 5. And into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil or fade. This inheritance is kept in heaven for you, who through faith are shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. 1 Peter 1, 3 through 5 takes on the form of a doxology, a hymn or a statement of praise and blessing to God. It is a liturgy which was meant to be memorized and recited in public and private worship. Verse 3 begins with the praise or blessing to God the Father. 1. For His great mercy. 2. That He gave us new birth. 3. Into a living hope. And 4. Through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. This passage described what God the Father did to deserve all praise. In today's verses, Peter describes the results of these actions, as we are blessed with 1. An inheritance. 2. That can never perish, spoil or fade. 3. That it is kept in heaven for us. 4. And that through faith we are shielded by God's power. 5. Until the coming of salvation. 6. Which will be ready to be revealed in the last time. The hope of verse 3 is now described as an inheritance. In fact, our inheritance is the promise and substance of that hope. As everyone born of God, through our new birth, we also receive an inheritance from Him. In writing this phrase, we can imagine that Peter was recalling the words of Jesus when he said, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal." That's from Matthew 6:19 and 20. Peter's not writing simply about our treasure, but our inheritance. God gave the land to Israel as an inheritance, and in the land, He gave every tribe and family an inheritance with the lasting right of ownership. In the same way, we are given a different inheritance, a heavenly inheritance, unlike anything in this world. Peter describes it in 3 ways. First, it will never perish, be damaged, wear out, or get old. It is indestructible. It will always be there. Second, it will not spoil or go bad or rot. It stands the test of all time without diminishing in any way. Third, it will not fade, lose its luster, or be eroded in any way. It will never stop shining, nor be dimmed or extinguished. David Gazuk makes this observation. Peter didn't really describe our inheritance. All he can tell us is that what it is not. What our inheritance actually is something too great for him to describe. Yet we can know that our inheritance can't perish, it can't spoil, and it can't fade away. We cannot experience this inheritance unless we are born again. Unregenerate man does not have the capacity to enjoy this inheritance. It would be like rewarding a blind man by showing him the most beautiful sunset or taking him to an art museum. Having pledged that the believer's spiritual inheritance was permanent, Peter now tells his readers it is securely kept in the safest place in existence, heaven. The word kept, in Greek, terio, means guarded and in safekeeping. Commentators indicate that the tense of the word conveys the idea that of an already existing inheritance that is being carefully guarded in heaven for all those who trust in Christ. Think of it as God's safety deposit box. The word for shield in Greek, phoreo, is a military word that has 2 meanings. It means to guard from attack and to prevent escape. Peter is encouraging believers who are going through a time of suffering and persecution by telling them that God's power guards their spirits. As they trust in God, His power makes them strong. As we discussed a couple of days ago, there are 2 major camps in the theological debate on election and free will. This verse is interpreted quite differently depending on which side of the debate you fall. These differences even show up on the notes from two different study Bibles. The NIV Study Bible notes read verse 1:5, "Through faith by God's power." There are two sides to the perseverance of Christians. They are shielded, first by God's power, and second by their own faith. Thus, they are never kept contrary to their will nor apart from God's activity. Essentially, this person is stating that God's shielding is activated by our faith through our faith. If we walk away from our faith, we also will lose our protection and possibly our salvation. On the other hand, the Zondervan Biblical Theological Study Bible notes read in verse 1:5, "Who through faith are shielded by God's power." God himself not only keeps his inheritance, but also guards those for whom he has prepared salvation. In this position, the commentator is stating that God is protecting the elect, those whom he has prepared salvation, and his guarding includes their faith in which they won't walk away from. Of course, these are oversimplifications and there are many subcamps within each side. However, in controversies like these, we are always reluctant to provide an opinion. We believe that each of us who deem these things important need to wrestle to fully understand both sides with these issues themselves. And besides, if you are following Christ, for you it doesn't matter which is correct because you are saved. Again from today's verse, "Until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time." Here, the mention of salvation is the third thing we're given by God that demonstrates his worthiness to be praised. First, for he has given us a new birth into a living hope. Second, we have an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. Third, and the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed. Often we hear people speaking of the three aspects of salvation. Past, when a person trusts in Christ, they receive salvation, from Ephesians 1:13. Present, we are continuing the process of our growth in Christ, which is called sanctification, from 1 Peter 1:14 through 16, and future, when Christ returns and salvation and sanctification is complete through glorification, in Romans 8:23 and 30. Regardless, all Christians should be looking forward and earnestly waiting for the appearance of our living hope when he returns. Sometimes we might envy others whose financial future is secure because they were born into a wealthy family and are heirs to a fortune. But those heirs did not earn their inheritance. They received it from their family. While there might be specific stipulations for receiving it, nevertheless it was given to them because of their birth. In the same way, we have been reborn or born again into not only a wealthy family, but a heavenly family. God's family. We didn't earn it, we did nothing to deserve it, but when we became a part of the family, we also become heirs to an inheritance. When we became members of this new family, we also received all the privileges and advantages it entails, which are vast. However, joining the family, we also received the family name, which in some circles isn't well received. As we will see during our study of 1 Peter, in this world, the family name can invoke anger, hatred, and even violence from those who are against our family. Even today, we see that the family name is frequently being smeared around the world. The values of the family are also no longer appreciated or even welcome. Rather, they are ridiculed and spit upon. Yet, regardless of our reception in the world, we are still called to proudly present our family name and values, even though the world hates us for it. But let us always keep in mind that in the end, we will be vindicated and proven right. We know the end of the story, and most of all, remember that unlike the world, we have a priceless inheritance being kept in heaven waiting for us. And that's our Bible study for today. And whatever platform you're watching this on, I will put a link to the full text of this commentary. That'll be on X, and like I say, I'll put a link to that. The full text is far too big to post on any of these platforms. Please hit the like and subscribe. That helps get it out to other people. And with that, we'll see you on the next one, and may the Lord bless you.